Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Happy Monday to you. What do you know? Another green day. This is fantastic. We're going to talk today about some really important stuff, so be sure to stick through to the end. We're going to discuss the traditional markets, basically Bitcoin versus US markets, the inverse pairing we have there, MicroStrategy, and how they are essentially in profit now, finally. And then also, of course, touch on this little voting system we have here, where most of you, at least the majority of my Twitter followers here, think that Bitcoin's going to hit 33,000 before it falls back down to 29, or just in general, it'll hit 33,000 first. Okay. Now my Telegram says something different. We're at about a 55% probability further downside, so it's interesting to see. But the bottom line is, you average it all out, most people are expecting the price action to kind of go higher than it is to go lower. And now, from a fundamental standpoint, that makes a lot of sense with all the ETFs and those things on the horizon. And that, with everything MicroStrategy being in profit, they're likely going to continue to hold the price action in place and maybe make some moves here soon too. But that's all the more reason why they might dump it as well, so they can reset at a lower price point, having so much in the market. Think about this here. They've got 158,000 Bitcoin so far. Okay. And that doesn't even consider how much they've bought, perhaps in the most recent 24 or 48 hours. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into high block capital data and kind of talk about that. Oh, quick congratulations too to our community here. Fantastic results here for our premium members here. We took a nice little 108% injective trade there. QNT 25% VET, 24%, 25% from Gala. QNT, again, there's another one, the BSV, that's a short, 46%. So overall, fantastic results there. Congrats again to our community members. And welcome to our new members. We've got 3 new members over the weekend, but we are getting close to that resistance level. It's funny. Sorry, everything I do in real life translates into charts, right? What I meant by that is we have a certain amount of members that we're going to allow into the community, just so we can have more one-on-one time with our members. So just know we're getting close to that limit. So if you are considering joining, link down below, of course, for that, for some automated trade signals, my trading university, and of course, some awesome community members there in our group. So when it comes to Bitcoin on the daily, let's talk firstly about high block capital data, kind of the back-end data, and then we'll work into how that works on the charts and why that's relevant. Okay. So what we want to look at here, first of all, is some liquidation levels. So right now, at this point, if the price wicks up a little bit further, we're going to have some severe liquidation at about 31,200. So 31.2 is, I wouldn't say a resistance level, but that's where most of the shorts are hedged, because they don't expect the price to break 31,000. Okay. So it's typically a very common thing. You take a key level resistance and you put your stop loss just above or below, depending on the direction you're heading. That said, if we take a look here, there's tons of liquidation down at 27,500. So the price does come back down. That would be a pretty significant drop below that level, because there's a lot of people kind of hedged out there. Me personally, I still got some money set aside in my spot bag just in case the price comes down to that range. But for right now, it does feel like 30,000 is going to be a pretty strong support. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. But when we look at everything else here, you can see what, about 5 days in a row, shorts have gotten liquidated more than longs. So shorts are not really doing all that well right now. The bears are kind of hanging out and relaxing, if you will. Okay, take a look at a couple of other things I think that are important. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at heat map here. This is open interest, all right? So we're going to take a look at the longs, basically, in the last, 12 hours here. Where are the longs hedged mostly? Longs are pretty heavy at about 30,500. Okay, so the price does come down to that level. Just know that we could see some liquidations, a push towards 30,000 because of it. But right now, the longs are in the green at 30,500. You could probably guess where the shorts are hedged as well. 30,500, they're in the red. Okay, so apparently 30,500 is somewhat of an interest level there for both longs and shorts. Take a look at the last month's worth of trading data here. Let's go ahead and see where we're at here for liquidation levels. This probably hasn't changed too much, but we'll just double check it to be safe. Taking a look here, of course, as per usual, we got tons of liquidation still at the 25.8, 26,500 range. They're starting to build some volume here at about 32,500. So those could be the 5x to 10x shorts that are in play right now, with keeping a pretty safe spread there, so to speak, or maybe high margin, where they're making sure that their stop loss isn't hit. And there's a pretty big gap here at about 31,800. So again, once we get past that 31,200 range, we're going to see a pretty significant amount of range there. In other words, there's not a lot of focus in that area, and that's kind of an open spot where the price action could travel. The main reason why, too, if you look at this here, the high was 31,500, or correction, 31,800. So anything above 31.8, upwards of 32, 33,000 is open game. Okay, it's kind of uncharted territory as far as the recent past, because you can see this most recent high, 32,000. There's a pretty significant gap right here in this range. Okay, so if we do break 32,000, it could be a run towards 36, 37. Okay, just note, not a lot of volume in that range. All right, so speaking of volume, let's take a quick peek here. What's going on with the volume here? We can kind of see we have a large not a large amount of volume at 27,000. I'm kind of rounding up a little bit, but 27,000 is the most. Second to that, you could say, is getting closer to where we're at right now. We're building that volume profile at 30,300. Okay, so if we do zoom in, just say, for example, within the last, what is this? Maybe just about a month's worth of trading, we can see there's still the most amount of volume at 26.6, with a small amount of volume accumulating here at about the 30,000 range. It's not a ton, but it's definitely a support level. And with MicroStrategy being in profit, there's a good chance that if the price comes below that level, they'll likely be the ones to sell it and push it down lower because they have a very, very significant bag. But again, all this ETF spot stuff coming up in the horizon, it would make sense for them to basically be in position to be able to hold that level too, right? As tons of support right now coming into the market. All right, so let's go ahead and take a quick look at the weekly, since the weekly candlestick has officially closed/open. So last week was a pretty significant bullish engulfing candle. We can see here as well, we're quite significantly up on the RSI, and we are converging officially on the MACD. We haven't converged since June of this year, or you can consider back in, what is it? Actually, no, we were converging back all the way in August of last year. So it's not too common for us to have this kind of upswing, this kind of uptrend in a weekly candle. Okay, so that's good. It's a very good sign. Ultimately, as well, we can kind of see here with the moving averages, if we take a look at some larger time frames, we're up over the 20, 200, and the 50-day SMA. That's extremely important. Again, 28,300, 28.4 is that support range there for that level. Bear in mind, again, we had 3 weeks in a row where the price could not pass that level, eventually broke through. And now that we've broken through, we can presume if it comes back down, that'll hold as a support. Okay, so I think the days of, 20, 26, 25, 21,000 are becoming less, I wouldn't say non-existent because it's still a possibility, but the probability is extremely low. Okay? So I think that it's somewhat of a thing of the past. It could very well happen, but it would take a lot to push the price action down underneath that level. So my recommendation in general right now, excluding all leverage, is to consider adding to your spot bag. Just put in a couple $100 here and there and just keep adding to your position, because I know when the price is at 60, 80, 100,000, we're going to wish we'd got in at 30. When right now we're kind of like, is it a good deal? It'll be a great deal eventually, okay? I think there's just a matter of that. Plus the supply of Bitcoin is diminishing, and it's going to be one of those things where it's going to become a hot commodity eventually. It already kind of is, but I think it'll get a lot bigger eventually soon. So that being said, 31,000, still kind of a good value. Would I rather wait for a lower price point? Of course, I'm always going to do that. But I'm still going to dollar cost average into my Bitcoin position, just because that's the way that it should work. Okay, so that is kind of how that works. And keep in mind, a lot of folks are considering the same thing too. So with the market movers, they may actually have a different game plan in place too altogether. So just be mindful that we're above some key level supports here. Let's talk about this. 28,000 even. We're at the 200-day SMA on the daily. It's pretty close to the 200 SMA on the weekly as well. That's a strong support at 28K. We've also got the 20 and the 50-day SMA working their way up with this ascending trend. So all looking good there. We take a look at our weekly high, low, open, close. We're still above that level for the moment. Just know those levels are oftentimes retested, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see 30,500 or 30,000 even retested before the next leg out. Furthermore, let's take a quick look at, MACD and RSI. RSI is kind of self-explanatory. We're up over 70, and this is something we want to kind of recognize here because it hasn't been this high on the RSI in some time. In other words, we take a look at its history, minus January of this year. If you recall, the price jumped up, almost doubled, went from 15,000 to 25,000 and then 30,000 within about a month after that. So things got really crazy really fast at that point. But the RSI was up over 70, close to where it's at right now at that time. So right here, just give you perspective, this is right where we're at right now here for RSI comparison. So if you compare the current price action with the RSI from before, I'm not saying we're necessarily going to have this kind of increase, because if it happens, awesome, totally awesome, but that could put us at the 35,000 range. However, what I'm getting at here is that with the RSI having been that high previously, it continued much higher. So try not to think that with us being up over 70 in the RSI, we're just going to immediately turn around. It doesn't necessarily work out that way. Overextension is not something you only and solely focus on. Okay. Last but not least, just to clarify and just kind of finish this little comparison. If you look back here, it's been years, literally 2 years since we've been up over this level on the RSI if you exclude January. Okay. So for the most part, this is fairly uncharted territory. Anything could happen. Are we due to break 31,000, hit 35,000? There's a possibility there. We could very well see a very similar circumstance. So just be mindful that that's a possibility. Try not to get too heavy with your leverage or your shorts, because even though the price is overextended, it may not pull back. Okay, so history can repeat itself, but it doesn't have to. I know, right? It's kind of funny. Go ahead and roll your eyes. I know I do it too. So let's take a look at the 4 hour. Let's wrap this up here for us. So speaking of overextension, taking a quick look here. We came up to a 9 here previously, consolidated at resistance, this 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level, and then of course the price broke out. Price comes up to another 9 here, overextends itself up to a 6, gets a little reset, now up to another 6 again. So realistically, I would say by the end of today's trading day, we'll have another, just say another 12 hours roughly from now, the price action would make sense to pull back, because we'd have 2 9s of 2D sequential in a row. That's roughly 72 hours of continuation to the upside. And if you see here on the charts, kind of ugly with all these little guys here, but the bottom line is that we are trending towards 3 white soldiers. In fact, we're kind of past that in a way. Now again, it's not the cleanest because these candle wicks are kind of ugly, but the bottom line here is we have 9 days of continuation of the upside. We've got an overextension on the 4 hour time frame at 72 hours roughly of just straight uptrend without correction. And then on top of that, we've got this proof here that we're hitting this most recent resistance level. In other words, we've had a lot of trouble at this 31,000 mark before. So all those things put together leads me to believe that we might actually see a correction. But once again, when Bitcoin starts behaving like it is right now, everyone starts shorting and the longs just get crazy and they start destroying all those shorts. Okay? So just keep in mind, it's not a shorting game right now. If you're going to short, please be careful. Wait for the right opportunity. Right now may not be that opportunity. So let's take a quick look at the hourly and wrap it up here. We can see we just hit a 9 on TD sequential, reset to a 4. We're retesting this upper liquidity level. All previous liquidity levels have been swept. Let's take a quick look at the 4 hour 2 for that. Yep, that previous one upwards of 30,200 was swept as well. Last thing we want to look at would be the Ichimoku cloud, and we can kind of confirm here that we do want to leave our long position open if we have one. Okay, this is basically telling us lagging spans free and clear, conversion lines above the baseline, and the price action is above the cloud. So overall, this is a win-win situation on all fronts here. Even though we are massively overextended, the likelihood of the price continuing higher to break this level is extremely high right now. So again, be careful shorting. I hope that if you are shorting and the price pulls back, you become profitable, don't get me wrong. Because I'd much rather see a lower price point here so we can average our price down. But the truth is here that it's kind of risky to take a short right now. This is somewhat of a breakout play. I'm not a breakout trader myself, so I'm not planning to take a long position. But I can tell you that it seems pretty likely this is going to continue. I'd be surprised we didn't retest our most recent high of the 31,800. It would make sense to hit that level and then possibly retest for a pretty large and ugly cup and handle pattern. There's a possibility there. All right, anything could happen, so just pay attention, keep your head on a swivel. We'll see what happens here next. Thanks again for watching. Join us on Telegram, Twitter, and Discord. Links all down below. If you do want to be part of our Crypto Cash Premium group, link down below as well. Sorry, I get a little excited. And I can tell you, it's just a lot of fun here too. So really, really cool results here with our trades. Once again, objective 108%, QNT 25, VET 25. A lot of nice little trades are coming into play here. So we got a decent amount of longs and a couple of shorts in place here right now. Excited to see what happens next. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you all in the next one. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care.